Enough is enough! I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane! Everybody strap in! I'm about to open some fucking windows.
Hey guys, Doc MTG here. So, today I want to go over my Snake Tribal EDH build, with its commander being Kaseto Orochi Archmage, which he is actually pretty powerful all on his own, especially if you build a Voltron build around him. But I'm going to be focusing more on a one-on-one build, and not a multiplayer kind of setting. Kaseto Orochi Archmage being its commander, he's pretty strong, I have to say. He's pretty costed pretty well. He's one colorless, a green and a blue for a 2/2, and his ability, which is pretty powerful, is for a green and a blue you can target creature can't be blocked this turn, and if it's a snake it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So he can actually target himself and get through for crazy amounts of damage if he is left unchecked and you have a lot of mana out. So let's get started with this. Since this is a tribal build, we're going to start with what creatures we're going to be running in this deck. It is extremely creature heavy. It runs 33 creatures. We're going to start with our 1-drops. We have Wasteland Viper for 1 green. It's a snake. It has Death Touch, and it has an ability. It's Blood Rush. For 1 green, you could discard the Viper, and target attacking creature you control gets +1/+2 and gains Death Touch into end of turn. It's really good as a utility if you don't want to play this on your first turn and you just want to hold it back as a give a creature Death Touch kind of deal. Next up we have Caustic Caterpillar for 1 green. We're never really going to put this creature down turn 1. We're probably pretty much going to hold it back and use it like a pseudo neutralize because of its ability of for 1 colorless and 1 green, you can sacrifice it and destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's pretty good late game. It's good early game. It's good when you need it. So always keep that in mind that you can use this card. We're running Marsh Boa for 1 green, and reason why, because it's a snake and it has Swamp Walk. It's a 1/1 with Swamp Walk, so if the players are playing black, guess what? We're getting by and doing some damage. We also have Mold Adler. For 1 green, it's a 1/1 fungus snake. Whenever an opponent casts a blue or black spell, you may put a 1/1 counter on Mold Adler. So this thing can get big fast if you're up against a blue or black deck. And our last 1-drop creature is Sakura Tribe Scout. For 1 green, it's a 1/1, and it has the ability of you tap it and you may put a land card from your hand into play. So essentially you can put an extra land down each turn, and you definitely want to have land for this deck. It's also nice that it's a shaman because it's going to have synergy with one of our other cards in the deck. Going into our 2-drop slot, we're running Elvish Visionary for card draw, Orochi Sustainer as a mana dork, and Sakura Tribe Elder as a fetcher. You also notice that they're shamans as well, which is going to play with one of our 4-drops. This deck has one weakness. It's a flyers. So we're going to be running Matsu Tribe Sniper because you can tap it and deal 1 damage to a creature with flying, and whenever it deals damage to a creature with flying, tap that creature and it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. We're also running Deathhood Cobra because for 1 and a green we can give it reach until end of turn, and we can also give it Death Touch for 1 and a green until end of turn, which can become very beneficial in the late game. We have Coiling Oracle for a green and a blue. When it comes into play, you reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, it comes into play. Otherwise, it goes into your hand. Really nice for card advantage. And who doesn't like an Ambush Viper? Not your opponent, obviously, because it has Flash. You can play it as an instant, and it has Death Touch. This is very nice when they're attacking. They think they're all in the clear, and you want to take their commander down. Which brings me to the last 4 creatures of our 2-drop slot. The first 2 are going to be used mostly for an infinite mana combo. We have a Phaedo Alchemist for 1 and a blue. You can tap him and untap target artifact or creature. And we have Seeker of Skybreak for 1 and a green. You can tap it and untap target creature. You'll see exactly which creature we're going to be tapping and untapping. Tangled Asp. A nice little creature to have because of its ability. Whenever it blocks or becomes blocked, you destroy target creature that it's blocking or been blocked by at end of combat. So you're always going to hang back with it and keep it as a blocker to make sure your opponent doesn't do anything too crazy. And, oh yeah, this last one, Blight Mamba, has Infect, and for 1 green you can regenerate it. And if your opponent doesn't take care of this by turn 5 or 6 and this is down with your commander out, it can become very difficult and they can lose the game due to Infect. I'll show you a quick example coming up right here. As you can see, if you're pumping it with your commander, it becomes unblockable and then it gets +2/+2. And now it has more Infect, dealing 5 Infect damage and bringing the opponent up to 9. Really bad for them, huh? Swinging into our 3-drop slot, we're going to kick it off with Orange Viper. For 1 colorless and double green, you get a 1/3 snake. And just like the Tangled Asp, but this card reads, whenever the Viper deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature at the end of combat. It's like Death Touch. And the thing is, unlike the Tangled Asp, you will be attacking with this one, because when you deal combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. Very nice for card advantage. Next up, we have Winged Cuttle. For 1 colorless, a green and a blue, you get a 1/1 flying snake with flash and Death Touch. Just like our Ambush Viper, but this one's going to be used for flyers, you know, the thing we have problems with. We have Glass Asp, 1 colorless and double green for a 2/1 snake, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player loses 2 life unless they pay 2 colorless before their next draw step. Really nice, because if you use your commander's ability on this, you're going to be draining them for 2 unless they pay 2. We're running Adept Automaton. For 3 colorless, you get a 2/2 construct. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type, which is going to be snakes, and then its ability that it has, other creatures you control of chosen type get +1/+1, so it makes all your snakes bigger. We have Trinket Mage. For 2 colorless and a blue, you get a 2/2 Human Wizard. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost 1 or less. You're going to be using this to look for your Soul Ring or Orochi Hatchery. Kaishi Tribe Elite. For 1 colorless and double green, you get a 2/3 Snake Warrior creature with its ability being legendary snakes you control can't be the target of spells or abilities. It gives him Shroud. And his second ability, whenever Kaishi Tribe Elite deals combat damage to a creature, tap that creature and it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. He's nice to have out to give your legendary snakes creatures Shroud, but just keep in mind you can't target your commander with its own ability. In our 4-drop slot, of course, we're running more snakes. We're going to start it off with Kaishi Tribe Reveler. For 3 colorless and a green, you get a 3/2 Snake Warrior. Whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, tap that creature and it doesn't untap during its next untap step. And it's also nice that she has, for 1 colorless and a green, you can regenerate her. Shisato, Whispering Hunter. For 3 colorless and a green, you get a 2/2 legendary Snake Warrior. He eats snakes, so you definitely want to have tokens out when you play him. But he is really nice because whenever he deals combat damage to a player, that player skips their next untap step. So if your opponent's completely tapped out and he deals combat damage to them, they will not be able to play any spells the next turn. Speaking of tokens, we're playing Pangea Viper. For 3 colorless and a green, you get a 2/1 snake with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you put 2 1/1 green blue snake tokens onto the battlefield. And when it enters the battlefield, unless you cast it with blue, you have to sacrifice it. So always play this card with blue mana. Sachi, Daughter of Shishiro, is the reason why it's nice to have all those shamans in the beginning. For 2 colorless and double green, you get a 1/3 legendary snake shaman. Her abilities are, other snakes you control get +0/+1, and shamans you control have, you can tap them and add double green to your mana pool. We have a lot of creatures with double green, so it's very nice to have those shamans that can now tap for double green as long as Shachi's out. Sosuke, Son of Shishiro. For 2 colorless and double green, we get a 3/4 legendary snake warrior. He gives other snakes you control +1/+0, makes them a little bigger, which is nice. And whenever a warrior you control deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature at end of combat. Something we don't really do in this deck is counter things. So we have Mystic Snake for that. For 1 colorless, 1 green and double blue, you get a 2/2 snake that has flash, and when it comes into play, you counter target spell. There's only 2 counters in this entire deck because we're more on the aggressive side. Which brings us to the last 5 creatures in our deck. We're running Shishiro the Anointed because he's our Snake Lord. He gives all our snakes +2/+2. And the sweet ability of whenever they deal combat damage, you draw a card. So if you're targeting snakes with your commander's ability and they're getting unblockable, you get to draw some cards as long as Shishiro is out. Nessian Asp is in the deck because of 4/5 snake with reach. And it has the added bonus of monstrosity. Can't have a snake tribal deck without Patron of the Orochi. He interacts really well with our snakes, and he has the awesome ability of when you tap him, you untap all forest and all green creatures. Prophet of Krufix. This card always receives so much hate as soon as it enters the battlefield, but if it sticks, it is so worth it because it gives all your creature cards flash, making all your snakes that much more deadly. And last but not least, we have Krufix, God of the Horizons. The 4/7 indestructible god has the awesome abilities of us not having a maximum hand size, and any unused mana doesn't empty from our mana pool, instead becomes colorless. Next up, let's talk about enchantments. We're only running 7 in this deck. There is Descendant's Path for 2 and a green. You get an enchantment at the beginning of your upkeep. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card that shares a creature type with a creature you control, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Since we're running so many snakes, most likely you're going to be getting free snakes. Bow of Nalia. For 1 and double green, you get a legendary enchantment artifact. Attacking creatures you control have Death Touch. This will put your opponent on edge and have them hesitate to block. Has a nice, sweet little ability. For 1 and green, you can tap it. You can choose 1. You can put a 1/1 counter on target creature, or have it deal 2 damage to a creature with flying, or gain 3 life, or put up to 4 target cards from your graveyard on the bottom of your library in any order. Survival of the Fittest. For 1 and green, you get an enchantment that if you pay 1 green, choose and discard a creature card, search your library for a creature, reveal that card, and put that card into your hand, and shuffle your library. Nice little tutor to go get creatures when you need them for specific situations. Snake Pit. An enchantment that is going to be hating on blue and black players, because whenever they cast a spell, you get to put a 1/1 green snake token creature onto the battlefield. Since we have a few token generators in the deck, we're running Parallel Lives, an enchantment that reads, if an effect would put 1 or more tokens onto the battlefield under your control, it puts twice that many of tokens onto the battlefield instead. Nature's Will, an enchantment that synergizes really well with our commander. The enchantment itself reads, whenever 1 or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, tap all lands that player controls and untap all lands you control. And since you can use your commander's ability to target one of your snakes and make them unblockable, you can attack and have them tap all their lands and you get to untap all of yours, giving you the chance to play more spells. Ley Line of Anticipation. It's in the deck just for the fact that we're able to cast non-land cards as though they have flash, so we always want to have the opportunity to play our cards like instances, just so we can get out of certain situations. Rocking and rolling into our artifacts, we're running 11 artifacts. We have the commander staples like Soul Ring, Wayfarer's Bauble, Expedition Map, Swiftfoot Boots, Lightning Greaves, and Dark Steel Ingot. Illusionist Bracers is here for our infinite mana combo, which involves a Fellow Alchemist or Seeker of Skybreak. You would have the bracers attached to them because the bracers read whenever an ability of equipped creature is activated. If it is a mana ability, you copy that ability and you may choose new targets, so you can actually untap the creature it's on and also untap another creature, as you can see in the example. You might be asking, where are we using all this mana on? Well, we're going to use it on spells like Snake Basket and Orochi Hatchery. We're going to make a lot of snakes to overwhelm your opponent. And we'll also be running Coat of Arms and Obelisk of Erd just to make our snakes even bigger. Last but not least, before we talk about lands, instant and sorcery spells. There are 4 instant spells and 7 sorceries. Plummet to deal with flyers, Naturalize to deal with artifacts or enchantments. Last Word, our only other counter besides Mystic Snake. Tribal Unity, because it's better than Overrun at instant speed, meaning when you're attacking with all your snake tokens, you can make them really big at instant speed. Some of the sorceries we have are Fabricate to fetch an artifact, Farseek to look for an island, Time of Need to look for a legendary creature. We also have Sosuke's Summon, the snake generator that keeps on giving as long as you have a snake in your hand to cast. Because whenever a non-token snake comes into play under your control, You may return the summons from your graveyard to your hand. Tropical Storm, to deal with an army of flyers. And some of our big finishers, Genesis Wave and Primal Surge. Which brings us to our lands. We're running the usual green-blue lands, and a few others, like Temple of Mystery, Yavimaya Coast, Hinterland Harbor, Thornwood Falls, Simic Guildgate, Vivid Grove and Vivid Creek, Rogue's Passage, and Command Beacon, with 6 basic islands and 22 basic forests. Obviously, if you want to upgrade and become more competitive, you can put in fetches into the deck. That definitely works. So that brings us to the end of my Kaseto Orochi Archmage EDH deck tech. Let me know what you guys think of the deck, or what cards you would swap in and out. You can write it all down in the comments below. And if you guys want to see more, go ahead and hit that like button. But until next time, DocMTG here saying peace.